Scorpio Soul Time. This is my esoteric journey where I'm consistently learning progress over perfection. I'm Ronique and I appreciate you joining me here. It's always nice to talk to you on the new moon and full moon cycles. And today we're actually going to be talking about the October 13th full moon in Aries at 20 degrees and 13 minutes. And that occurs at 5:07 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So this is a really powerful full moon because Aries is the sign of the ram, and it is the first zodiac sign of the entire zodiac. So it's really this initiating, fiery energy. But what is a challenge at this Aries full moon is that we have a lot of energy around other forces at play, if you will. So the thing about the full moon is that the full moon is when it sits across the sky from the sun. So the sun right now is in Libra. And so that's all about balance and relationships and really trying to figure out where in your life you need to let go of some people or some toxic relationships, which ones, maybe are going to be fostering new energy for you. But then it's sitting across the sky. The sun is sitting across the sky from the moon, which is now in Aries. And so the moon has this initiating, beginning, new birth, fiery energy. So right there, you're already having kind of like this kind of tug-of-war, if you will, between what is it that you want to initiate and start because of the Aries, fire, like you're raring to go. But then the Libra energy is like, okay, wait a minute, you have some purging to do. You have some relationships and balance issues. You have some, you have some toxic energy going on that you might not be able to start everything you want to right now. So I think that is going to be the challenge of this full moon in Aries. And I actually took out this card, which is the Queen. I am an empowered feminine leader. Regal, courageous, prosperous, loyal, powerful, compassionate, intuitive, responsible, administrative, knowledgeable, and trustworthy. And what I like about this card is it kind of represents to me this spirit of I'm ready to go, but at the same time, I need to try to trust my instincts and make sure that I know what is the best thing for me right now. What is the best path to move on? And anytime you have, especially like a horse, a ram, remember Aries is the sign of the ram. So it's kind of like that fiery, let's go energy. Anytime you have these like powerful animal kind of instincts, if you will, there is this zest for life, if you will, energy. And I think that's one of the best parts about Aries is because they're not afraid to take chances and get going and really just get out there and do things. And if you remember back in my very first video when I did the new moon back in, when was that? So when I started that was back in April. I started my very first video here on YouTube on Scorpio Soul Time, and that was in the Aries new moon of initiating new endeavors, initiating new ideas. So I think that with this Aries full moon, think back where you were in April. Was there a time, was there kind of like a time or a phase that you were kind of like trying to initiate something, and now when you look back on it, you're like, did that really work out? Or is it something that it did work out and now it's time to take it to the next level? This full moon really is wanting you to take those relationships and those endeavors to a next level. So I do encourage you to look at that very first Scorpio Soul Time video that you'll be able to see where those energies were for you. So anytime you watch any of these videos though, remember that's the right time for you. You don't have to be in that moon phase in order to get the messages. And I think that's the best thing about tarot reading, is that whenever Spirit wants you to hear a message, that's when that information is going to come. So today we're going to do two different readings. I'm going to use the Animal Spirit Tarot deck, which is all about different animals from water, earth, fire, and air. And there's also spirit in here as well. And I'd like to use these when we have these really powerful moon cycles, because I think there's a lot to be said for the animal totems, if you will. And one thing I want to say is, if you have experienced different animals, like the other day I had these black crows land on my car, and I was like, oh my goodness, what does that mean? And then like one day there was actually a turtle going across the street that I had to stop for. But there's so many different ways that Spirit talks to us, and I think one of the best ways are through animals and through wildlife. So I want to, for this full moon in Aries, I want to just do a reading also that has to do with what animal energy is around us. So we have the fox, and we have the fish. I'm going to do 3 for past, present, and future. And we have the scorpion. And I think that's so interesting about the scorpion, because we have 2 planets right now in Scorpio. We have Mercury, the communication planet, and we have Venus, which is all about love and beauty, money, material resources. So we'll talk about that in a minute, but let's first talk about what's been in our past. So in our past, we have the fox. Okay, so the fox energy is an earth sign. It's smart, strong, wise teacher. And it says the fox is an enchanting creature with plenty of mystique to go around. Fox personalities are skillful in business and also make great teachers. They are quick to learn and adapt well to new situations. Foxes are ideal life partners as they commit to relationships for the long term, and their natural charisma keeps things exciting. Fox energy helps us stay true to those most dear to us. When this card appears, reconnect to those you love. Foxes don't do well when they slip away. So I think in the past, it's basically reminding us that you probably have some great talents that you can either share with others. So in the teacher mode, that can be at work, it could be at home, it could be in your community. But in the past, this energy of this full moon in Aries is telling you, don't forget those qualities that you have to give to others. Sometimes in our society, I feel like we do a lot of just thinking that everyone is only receiving, but remember, you have gifts to give as well. And so in this in this full moon in Aries, remember, as you get enlightened and you come into this new energy, remember you have a lot to give, and those earthly energies of being supportive, being giving, just being like a really strong role model, I think is the sign of the fox. So I really like that. So in the present, we have the fish. So the fish energy is restlessness, change of focus, lost in the current. And you can see here that obviously fish is for a water sign, but what I really think is something to note is this moon right here. And you can see that the fish is almost like in the dark, and it's almost like this current around the moon is what is drawing the fish in. And so the fish says restlessness, change of focus, lost in the current. The fish loves to be subsumed in life's current. Nothing pleases it more than movement and more movement. The roaming lifestyle of the fish may be exhilarating for a while, but usually leads to wariness and slippery relationships. With all the possibilities out there in the vast waters, the fish becomes lost without clear goals and intentions. Spend some time with the lunar forces, dear fish, as the peace and calm of the moon will soothe your soul. So I think that's very befitting of this full moon that we're going to come into, because it's basically telling us like we're just really restless right now, right? We might be having that tug of war within us that is just making us go kind of bonkers, if you will, between, like I said, that balance that we're craving from the sun in Libra, but then there's that like fiery energy of Aries just wanting to go. So the universe is telling you, you need to probably meditate. You need to get back in balance with yourself, with nature. If you can retreat to somewhere that has a pool, that has a lake, even if you go to the park on the weekend and just look at excuse me, look at a body of water that can maybe calm you, even just taking a shower or a bath. I've noticed that if you have a bad day, the minute you take a shower or a bath and you just feel like it cleanses away all of the old murkiness of the day, it just revives you. So this spirit is coming through right here in the present, telling you that in this full moon in Aries, really take some time to figure out how is it that you can bring your life into balance. And in our future, we have the Scorpion. And the Scorpion is for Earth sign. And Scorpio says passionate, competitive, tends towards isolation. The Scorpion is a passionate and determined creature. Their career is very important to them, as are a few select friends. Sometimes the Scorpion's heat festers and they focus on an unresolved event from the past, usually a situation they were left feeling burned. The Scorpion card says it's time to come clean about your feelings so everyone can heal and you can get back to your usual fiery but fun self. So when in balance, you're wild and free, but when you're out of balance, jealousy, resentful, and unresolved issues. And so I really resonate with this card. Being a double Scorpio, my moon and sun is in Scorpio. But what I was telling you all is that we are moving into Scorpio season soon. And I think that this is very fitting for this Aries full moon, because Aries is a sign of a ram that is, like I said at the beginning of this reading, very fiery, ready to go, action oriented. And you can see that this sting, this is always what burns Scorpios. And this is what burns anyone who has that energy of like wanting things to get started, get going. They want issues resolved like instantly. Most people who have a lot of scorpionic energy in them tend to be very impatient. They want things to happen quickly. Nothing ever happens fast enough. Results are never in a timely manner. And so I think what Spirit is trying to say in this card in the future is that be careful of how quickly you're making decisions. Be careful of what you're holding on to and not letting go. Remember, scorpions tend to, sting their prey and get to this point where it's just like, you tried me too many times, now I'm going to sting you with my deadly stinger. But then when you look back on it, you're like, well, maybe I was a little too hasty. Maybe I didn't really think everything through. So in this full moon, this energy is really one of which it's like, take your talents from the past and really figure out how you can sit with them, but calm yourself in this present day because you're just too restless. There's too many fiery energies going on. And if you don't calm yourself, what's going to happen in the future is you're going to have this energy that is bottled up, and it's going to come out in an argument. It's going to come out in some type of reactionary mode that you don't realize, you know, you had bottled up inside. This energy right here is really wanting you to, in this full moon in Aries, take the time to figure out how can you use your own personal energy and gifts to help, you know, those around you. But make sure you're sitting well with what it is are your gifts, because I think oftentimes, especially at work, we have people that use our talents and use our gifts, and then we start feeling like we're just being used and not really being appreciated, whether it's compensation, whether it's, you know, notoriety, you know, someone saying, you know, good job for doing that, or, you know, giving credit to you. I think that sometimes we get to this point where it's like we have these gifts, but then we don't know what to do with the restlessness inside that we're trying to share with the world, and we just kind of feel used, if you will. And I think this energy for this full moon really wants you to examine, where is it that you're getting hung up on things you can't let go. This scorpionic energy in the future is very befitting for us coming into the Scorpio sun energy that will start October. Actually, it starts October 22nd or 23rd, right around there, and then it will go to November 22nd or 23rd. So this energy is one to be careful of, because I will tell you, Scorpions and Scorpionic energy, we all have it in us. And right now we have Mercury and Venus already in that. It's already there. So it's kind of like if you're finding yourself, you know, at work or around, you know, people that you're kind of like, you don't like the fakeness, and, you know, you want to have some clear communication, you're not going to always get that in Scorpio energy. We are very much in our feelings when you are in the Scorpio energy. So I want you to remember that, because I think, you know, when we do our meditation and we're trying to really kind of get clear in our feelings, I think many of us forget that the energies that are around us are so much bigger than us, right? We cannot always control a lot of the people around us. You cannot control how events occur around you, but what you can control, you do still have free will, right? And that's what I like about astrology and tarot, is it kind of gives us this roadmap, or kind of like a weather, you know, no different than looking at the weather. It gives you this weather vein, if you will, of, okay, how are the energies, you know, going to be in this period? If you already know that that scorpionic energy is out there, when you go into your next staff meeting and, you know, people start blowing up at each other, you're going to know that, okay, this is not anything for us to be too in our feelings about. Let's figure out why, you know, all this energy is happening. So let's pick out 3 cards. We're going to do the past, the present, and the future. Oh, look at that. That is very nice. And Spirit tells me to also look at what's on the bottom of the deck. So it looks like 9 of Cups. So you know what, I just heard, look at the next card too. Okay, so Queen of Wands, oh, and I see the Wheel of Fortune. So I'm actually gonna leave all of those out, because sometimes when I'm doing my readings, I literally hear like all of these voices like, no, turn over 1 more card. No, turn over 1 more card. No, 1 more. So I think that, let's try to get this all in the frame here. So we have a lot of great energy here. And I think that anytime we move into a new potent energy. There's these opportunities for greatness, and there's the opportunities for you having strong opinions. And so these energies are the ones in which we took out, like they were kind of like overarching themes. And then this is the past, present, and future. So I want to talk about these overarching themes because they all have a very connected vibe. And so you can see here we have the 7, and I'm actually going to turn that one over so we don't have so much out on the table. So you can see here we have the 7 of Pentacles. The 7 of Pentacles is about planting seeds. It's about where in your life can you take and put in the time, put in the resources, put in the research, whatever those things that you've been wanting to cultivate, this is now the time. And so there's an overarching theme here at this full moon in Aries that whether you're getting ready to be harvesting seeds that you may have done back in April, like I said, that you've been working on through that initiation phase in the earlier part of this year, it might be time for you to be planting new seeds. So think of that in terms of where it is in your life you can have new opportunities for growth. The Wheel of Fortune speaks to where is it in your life do you think that things could either change for the better or change for the worse. Remember, Libra, the sun in Libra is all about balance and relationships. And I'm really hearing this Wheel of Fortune has something to do with something in your life either, and maybe you've already seen signs of this. Maybe there's information coming out at this full moon. Maybe people from your past are coming back into the fold. Possibly you might be getting a raise. You might be hearing news about things that you did plant back in that April, spring area. Something is going to take a turn for the worse or the better. But remember, when I say worse, it just means can be things that you weren't expecting. It doesn't necessarily mean it's bad news. It doesn't necessarily mean it's good news, but just know to be ready for anything. It's almost like expect the unexpected when the Wheel of Fortune shows up. Next is the Queen of Wands. And the Queen of Wands really is that energy of this take charge, female dominated energy. And what I like is, let's open it. And what I like about the Queen of Wands is as she sits here on her throne with her trusty, faithful black cat down here, Wands is all about willpower, passion. And so I think it kind of goes back to that fiery energy because Wands rules, it is the energy of fire in the tarot deck. So I think that the Queen with her sunflowers and her staff here, she's basically like, what is it that you need? What do you need to make in your life that is positive, go-getting energy? Like, how are you going to use that energy moving into this full moon in Aries? And she really wants you to take that Aries energy of that fieriness, but think through what you're going to do. Don't just go blazing into things. Actually, like, have a plan, be very calculated, think of a goal that you're trying to attain. And if you do get sidetracked by the unexpected, remember, you have a plan. Think of a plan and then do the steps to make it work. I feel like the Queen of Wands is like that motherly energy that's like, okay, you can do it, but do you have a plan? Have you thought of, what you need to do in order to get to that next step? And if it has something to do with work, like I said, I really think this has to do something with your career, because with this 7 of Pentacles, Pentacles are all about resources, work, things that you've put in the time, that you're planting seeds. So this might also be maybe around a fire sign, the Queen of Wands. It could be a Leo, it could be an Aries or a Sagittarius. And the last card up here that is dealing with our energies is one of the most positive cards in the deck, which is the Nine of Cups. And the Nine of Cups is this merchant who is sitting with his cups above him, and many intuitives coin this as the wish card. So basically, he's here to grant your wish. So what is it during this full moon in Aries cycle would you like to come true? Is it something at work? Would you like a raise? Would you like to be able to get more responsibility so you can move up the ladder, if you will? Are you ready to change jobs? Are you ready to take a bigger responsibility at home? You know, resources can also deal with just the things that you value. So this could be you getting in better health. This could be things around you in your home life. You want a better relationship with your spouse, with your children. This energy right here is showing us that in this full moon in Aries, there's this opportunity for a shift to take place, and there to be this energy of what is it that you want to cultivate that you maybe haven't taken to that next level. Whatever your wish is, the Wheel of Fortune and the Queen of Wands are giving you almost like that green light, like expect the unexpected and be ready with your goals to make it happen. Because whatever you plant now, or you have been planting of seeds, if it doesn't show up now, it's probably going to show up in these next few months leading into 2020. So remember, this is a very positive energy. Like, there is nothing here that is screaming like, oh no, be careful. It really is very positive. So I'm liking that. So let's go into, so that was just like our overarching energy. So let's go into our past, present, and future. So our past is the 10 of Cups. And I think it's interesting that we get the 10 of Cups because we obviously just had the 9 of Cups. So there is this progression of you have reached this ending, if you will, but it's a very happy ending. You have the family, the kids playing, and they're all, you know, celebrating all the accomplishments that they've made. So it sounds like this wish that you had back here with the 9 of Cups, it's now coming to fruition. And with this being in the past, it sounds like it's time for you to start a new chapter in your life. It sounds like you reached that goal, but now it's time to start a new goal. And I think as we move into November and December, you're going to start seeing a lot of information and energy come in that speaks to what is it that you tried to make happen maybe earlier this year but didn't, but you're now realizing you have that information and that you can really like take it to that next step. I think that this 10 of Cups in the past is saying your family life, your home life is really going to be escalated, or elevated is probably a better word, elevated to that next level once you kind of plan out what you want your next steps to be. So in the present, we have the 8 of Swords. So this is the only card that I'm seeing in this reading that looks like it's one of you're not quite sure where to go. The 8 of Swords is this woman who is bound, but her feet are free. So she really could walk away, but the problem is that she has something over her eyes and she cannot see that she actually can get to her home back here, but she feels restriction. And so in this present position, I think this has to do with where we're at with this full moon in Aries and that sun in Libra. Like I keep telling you, that whole like relationship of the pull, the tug and pull of that relationships and, you know, bringing things into balance, but that Aries just like wants to get things started. And I personally am feeling this on my own accord, in my just things that are going on at work, where it's kind of like you've started things, but it's just like, whether it's, you know, the people around you, the circumstances, there's just things you can't get initiated. And I think that this card right here is telling you, you have the ability to make things happen, but you're going to have to be patient. You're going to have to realize that it's going to take time. Remember back to that scorpionic energy of the animal tarot cards. You can't just be raring to go all the time. You're going to have to be patient, because you have a lot of great energy here, especially cups. Excuse me. You have these cups that are lots of good emotional energy around you, but this is all mental. Swords represent air, and so this Eight of Swords is like, this is not really your physical condition. This is you thinking this is your physical condition. You are feeling restrained because, for whatever reason, whether you're feeling like things have not fruition fast enough, maybe these seeds that you've planted aren't sprouting up fast enough, maybe this Wheel of Fortune, you know, things haven't really tipped in your favor like you were hoping they would. You know, there's so many different avenues that this could play out, but I definitely think that this Eight of Swords really wants you to realize you're in a lot better position than you realize, okay? And the Sun card. When I tell you that this is the most beneficial card in the deck, we basically pulled like some of the best cards in the deck. So between the Nine of Cups, the Ten of Cups, the Wheel of Fortune, the Sun, this is going to be a great healing. I really feel like it's going to be a really good healing phase, this full moon in Aries. And I think that things are going to come up that are going to be uncomfortable. I think that there's going to be themes that come up that are going to be one in which you need to purge out people, relationships, and just habits that you have developed that are not working for you. This Sun is showing this child or baby on a horse. I think it's interesting that we see the horse again, because remember I pulled that horse at the very beginning of this reading, talking about the moon and just being really courageous and just like ready to take on challenges. I mean, you cannot get bigger than the sun, right? And so this Sun card is really telling you, you got this. Like, be patient with time, be patient with the energies around you, because the sun is the highest, most benefic planet there is. It is what is breathing earth into, it's breathing life into all of us. And so I really think that this reading is nice, because it's showing us where we have our kind of like our negative sides to us, which is our mind. You know what I mean? It's kind of like telling you, don't get caught up in what your voices in your head are telling you. Figure out a plan that you can start working towards. And remember, as we move into the Scorpionic season, there's going to be more and more of this like revelations. Scorpio is one in which is like delving deep into the psyche. There are things that we don't like to talk about. And so even though we're not officially in Scorpio season, like the sun hasn't moved into Scorpio season, it's still into Libra. So just know though that Mercury and Venus are already in Scorpio. So there is this underlying current of things coming out. Just be very perceptive. Be very aware that the things that are going on now are going to be hints to what probably reveal themselves as we move deeper into the end of October and into November. And this reading is really positive, you all. I really am excited to see how this full moon in Aries plays out. I've already been seeing signs in my own life, especially from seeds that I planted back in April, and I really do think that this is going to be a great, and when I say great, it doesn't mean that everything's going to be happy. But it does mean what this Sun and this 10 of Cups and this 9 of Cups is insinuating is that you have the emotional energy to make anything you want happen. It's just a matter of you getting in the right mindset and not being taken down the wrong road in this 8 of Swords and you being your worst enemy, right? That's exactly what the 8 of Swords is saying. It's saying don't let yourself be taken down a road that doesn't even exist because you made up this plan in your head. So the Sun is telling you everything's good. Everything is going to be good, even if it doesn't look like it right now. Okay, you all. Well, thank you so much for joining me on Scorpio Soul Time. I appreciate all of your comments and your likes. I would love if you would share this with your other friends. If you're not a subscriber, I would love if you would subscribe. I've gotten a few new subscribers recently, so I do appreciate you all, and I will talk to you all later on Scorpio Soul Time. Bye.